Hey YouTube, right here. Wanted to go ahead and talk about Tommy from the Rebel Media and the bullshit that's going on with him. Now, I'm not going to sit there and talk about the case specifically because no details have been released about it. But I'm going to talk about the reason why no details have been released about it. Now, I think it's a little bit suspect, especially given, with all the shit that's going on, where people are talking about, freedom of speech, dual track legal systems, unfair charges being brought against people, on the most tenuous of claims, and about how only certain media outlets are being given actual liberties as far as what the media outlets are supposed to get. So, let's go ahead and talk about that. Now, Tommy was arrested, I believe, at 4 o'clock this morning, as of the posting of this video. And they came in, they raided his house, arrested him, upsetting his wife, upsetting his kids, that sort of thing. And then, they held him, had the little preliminary hearing. He's out on bail, so good for him on that. But here's the problem. He has a gag order on him. He is not allowed to talk about the charges that are being brought up against him. Now, I want people to let that sink in. If you were arrested and you wanted to talk about the charges that were being levied against you, like whether you thought that they were legitimate, whether you thought that they were bullshit, whatever, whatnot, should you not have the right to comment on this? I'm curious. I'm honestly curious to know. I'm curious as to what the people who are bringing these charges against him are actually afraid of. Are they afraid of it maybe, tainting a jury? Or are they afraid that their charges are blatantly bullshit? People will see through it and see that they're just trying to stop him from covering that rape case that he was working on. Go ahead. Come after me. Because I'm not like Tommy. I'm not one of those people that will just bend over and take it. I will absolutely voice my opinion, regardless of what you want. But I'm not afraid of them coming after me, because then they'd have to go ahead, work with the U.S. government, go ahead and get some charges brought up on me here. At which point, oh yeah, I'm going to make absolutely certain that that news gets out. I may not be a big YouTuber, I may not be someone who is a big name out there, but shit like this tends to spread. The fact of the matter is, something's telling me that they're just trying to sit there and keep him on lockdown so that he can't do his job and actually report on that case. They were sneaking the people out so that the press couldn't get a hold of them for comment. They were telling the press that they couldn't go ahead and report on the steps of the courthouse, which is always where the press report on. Go ahead and take a look. Any press case, any press reporting on a case, they're all like, we're here on the steps outside of blah blah blah. So why is it he was run off? And you can't sit there and say that the Rebel Media isn't a legitimate press organization especially given the fact that they just got their U.S. credentials for entering the White House for press conferences. Something that's a little bit on the shaky side for a lot of MSM outlets. So, let's go ahead and be honest here. Something's telling me that once that gag order, because they can't tell him to perpetually not talk about it. They can't do that. Even in the UK, they're not that far gone yet. Something tells me that once he is able to talk about this, we're going to find out that there was absolutely no basis to these claims. And I'm sorry, he at this point needs to sit there and honestly consider suing the living fuck out of them. Out of the local police where he's at, out of the judges that are allowing this shit to go through, the prosecutors, everyone. But that's just my opinion. But of course, you know, they might have something legitimate against him. Who knows? We wouldn't have to be speculating if they didn't put the gag order on. See, that's the thing. Information isn't necessarily damaging. Lack of information, again, isn't necessarily damaging. But if you're trying to hide information and people really want answers, well then, that lack of information can be more dangerous than you actually releasing the information. Because right now, people are in a mindset of worst case scenario. And I can't blame people. I mean, just take one look at the world. It's all going to hell in a handbasket. Doused in gasoline. And, hell, the corners of it pre-burnt, ready to go. Now, I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think that they might have some legitimate thing against him? Because, now, I'm not necessarily a 100% fan of him. However, I did take a look at his speech that he gave. And you know what? I can get behind what he said there. And the thing is it's pretty cool that he was actually sitting there and saying, look, this is something that has affected me. This is the reason why I'm so passionate about it. This is something that has affected where I was born and raised. So I gotta go ahead and at least give props to the guy on that. He's also stayed fairly level-headed. I mean, has he lost his temper? Probably. Like when he went after that fucking ISIS flag. Yeah, I can't blame him there. I'm sorry, people marching around with a fucking ISIS flag. Now, a lot of people are like, well, then you're not for freedom of expression. Oh, no, I'm completely for freedom of expression. However, the thing is last time I checked, advocating for a terrorist organization, according to the lefties, should not be covered under the under the First Amendment. So, if they're going to sit there and bitch about that, well then, it brings their motivation into question. So, now I'm all for, you know, freedom of expression and so on and so forth, but when you're sitting there and flying an ISIS flag, you got a fucking issue going on that's much larger than freedom of expression. Because, I mean, go ahead and take a look at what ISIS actually stands for, look at what their goals are, look at their way of doing things. At that point, it's not a situation of conjecture. It is right out there in the open. It's not hidden. This is a violent fucking group. And when you sit there and you start bringing that to the streets, well then, expect violence back. Violence is met with violence. If you're sitting there and advocating for violence, prepare to have violence against you. But the thing is he didn't even attack anyone. He actually just grabbed something out of someone's hand. Then the police officers jumped on him as he's fucking going down and leaning on the fucking cable. And then they tried to sit there and say that he attacked the police officer when the police officer was directly behind him. He wasn't flailing or anything. So let's just be 100% honest. The thing is this has been a witch hunt against him from the very beginning. They're trying to silence him, and he's refusing to be silenced, and they really don't like that. And now they're sitting there and using the fucked up legal system to try to silence him. But again, that's a band-aid. It's not going to actually seal up the hole. It's just covering it up right now, out of sight, out of mind type of thing. Now, I'm going to be interested to see if they sit there and keep pushing back his hearing to where he can talk about this, to where it's just magically a few days past the end of the hearing for the people that allegedly gang raped a 16-year-old girl who happened to be Muslim, who happened to be refugees. So let's go ahead and keep an eye on that one. I honestly recommend that you go ahead and keep an eye on it as well. Don't sit there and just rely on me for this. And the thing is right now there's a petition going around. You can actually go to the Rebel Media. I'm pretty sure they have a link to it. I highly recommend that you go ahead and you sign their petition. Although I think it's kind of shitty that they have it where you signing the petition automatically signs you up to their thing. So go ahead and use a junk email if you don't want to go ahead and get shit from them. Me, I don't mind getting shit from them. I ignore most of my emails anyway. So, whatever. But I highly recommend that you go ahead and do that, because this is kind of a scary thing. Because if they're able to sit there and arrest someone, bring charges against them, and then tell them that they're not allowed to talk about what's going on, so they can't get the news out there, so that way, you know, petitions can be signed and so on and so forth. Well, that's kind of dangerous for people, because that means they're trying to get themselves out of the public eye. Now, I want to ask you something. Imagine if you had a daughter, or if you're a woman watching. What the hell are you doing here? But honestly, good on you if you're actually able to put aside your shit and actually watch my videos. I honestly, thumbs up. Awesome. But if you're a woman watching this, you know, imagine if you were sitting there walking down the street and someone was trying to coerce you into a back alley where no one could see you. What's gonna be your thought there? Your thought's gonna be, oh hell the fuck no. If you saw that happening to your daughter, you're gonna jump in and say, oh fuck that, and you're gonna get your daughter away from them. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. They're trying to get this out of the public eye so they can do whatever the fuck they want. And I'm sorry, at this point, I don't trust any major government's legal system. Especially when they don't have the public eye squarely set on them. They've already proved incapable of doing the job that they were actually given. Yet they prove that they're more than willing and more than capable of putting people in prison on false claims or on absolute bullshit that wasn't even proven. So, let's just be completely honest here. This is a situation that is setting a dangerous precedent, and this needs to stop. At no point should someone ever be able to have a gag order on them as far as the charges being brought against them, unless it has to do with classified information. Then I can understand it. You know, classified information that has not been declassified. All right, fine. But that's the only olive branch I'm going to go ahead and extend. And I'm pretty sure nothing here is classified information, since this is a local issue with local people. I'm fairly certain that there isn't some national security risk here. So let's just be 100% honest about this. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think that it's okay for them to tell him that he's not allowed to talk about the charges being brought against him until after the court case is done and over with? Do you think that they should be able to tell people that they're not allowed to report on certain cases? Go ahead, let me know. If you agree that this is a thing, leave a like. You know, if you agree that this is absolute bullshit, leave a like. If you disagree, go ahead and leave a dislike, or, you know, just comment or whatever. I don't mind either way, but I want to hear your guys' opinions. Let me know. All right, talk to you later. I'll try to keep y'all updated on this as best as I can, but the thing is you're probably going to be able to get the information faster from the Rebel Media YouTube channel or from their website. So go ahead and you know, if you're willing to sit there and wait for me to get around to it, then you're probably going to be a week or so behind. But I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Let me know what you think.